Incheon Airport that morning seemed ordinary to many. But who would have thought, behind the rows of cameras, crowds of fans, and layered security lines, such an emotional moment occurred. A moment that will probably be remembered forever by the ARMY around the world. A hug that brought thousands of eyes to tears. Jungkook, the golden magne of BTS, seemed unable to hold back his tears as he hugged Taehyung, a figure who had just completed his military service. What really happened behind that haru moment, since the news of Taehyung's return from military duty was announced a few days earlier, the world seemed to be holding its breath. Fans from around the world flooded social media with congratulations, prayers, and wishes that the BTS member could soon reunite with the other members. However, no one really expected that their first meeting would be so dramatic. The airport, which is usually filled with hustle and bustle, has suddenly become a stage of despair, where two friends who are like brothers finally come back to face each other after a long time apart. When Taehyung came out of the arrival area in his military uniform, the steps seemed calm, but his eyes trembled. He looked around, perhaps still finding it hard to believe that his long service was truly over. But what stole the most attention was not just his presence. It was a figure standing a few meters in front, wearing a black hoodie, a mask, and a hat that partially covered his face. Jungkook. He came quietly, unannounced, without an official camera, with only a simple intention: to welcome the Hyung he had longed for. Some witnesses said it was like a movie scene. As soon as Taehyung saw Jungkook, the two were glued to each other for a few seconds. No words, just a long gaze laden with meaning, as if thousands of memories, laughter, and their struggles in the past were spinning back in each other's minds. Then, as if time had stopped, Jungkook took a quick step towards Taehyung, and in an instant, the hug happened, warm, tight, and real. Jungkook hugged Taehyung as if afraid of losing again. Her shoulders trembled, her voice was hoarse, and tears just fell uncontrollably. Fans, cameras filming from a distance showed how strong the emotions in the embrace were. Taehyung, who is usually calm and charismatic, can only smile lightly while patting Jungkook on the back slowly. He didn't say much, but one sentence came softly from his lips. "You've worked hard, Jungkook." A simple sentence that makes Jungkook even more sobbing. The moment quickly spread on the internet. The hashtags #TaehyungIsBack, #Jungkook and Taehyung reunited, and #BTSForever immediately topped the world's trending in a matter of minutes. ARMY flooded the comments with emotions that were hard to explain, between emotion, pride, and nostalgia. Many wrote, "The hug is like a symbol that the BTS family will always be back together, no matter how long they are apart." On the other hand, some Korean media reported that Jungkook deliberately postponed his solo recording schedule abroad just to be able to be at the airport that day. Internal sources said that although his agency had been worried about the upcoming public attention, Jungkook was adamant. "I have to come. I had to see Taehyung come out with my own eyes," he said, as quoted by one reporter. The decision shows the extraordinary closeness between the two. As many of you know, Jungkook and Taehyung's relationship is not just a coworker. They've been like brothers growing up together on BTS's long journey since they were teenagers. They went through hard times, world tour fatigue, popularity pressure, and various challenges together. And now, after the time separating them due to state duty, the meeting seems to be a symbol of healing for them and for ARMY who longed for a moment of BTS togetherness. In the midst of tears and warmth, the camera had captured a small moment that broke the silence. Jungkook smiled between his tears, looked at Taehyung, and said in a trembling voice, "Hyung, you haven't changed at all." Taehyung chuckled, then replied, "Of course I changed. I'm stronger now, but you're still our baby." The speech was greeted with laughter between tears, and the atmosphere that had been tense suddenly warm like a house that was back on after a long dark. After a few minutes, the security staff finally separated the crowd politely, making room for the two to walk together towards the waiting car. However, even as they walked away, Jungkook was still holding Taehyung's arm, as if he wasn't ready to let go. Fans watching from a distance shouted, cried, and waved. Some even said that they could feel such a sincere energy of love and brotherhood at a distance. All the way out of the airport, the cameras kept following their footsteps. Taehyung briefly lowered his head, covering his face with a hat, while Jungkook was busy wiping away his tears. But before getting into the car, Taehyung paused for a moment and stared at the crowd. He gave a short salute, then smiled and waved. This small gesture provoked hysterical shouts from the fans, not because of the sensation, but because of the radiated warmth. A few hours later, social media was filled with analysis and video snippets from various angles. Some slow down the hug scene, trying to read the lips of both. Others write poetry and fan art about their meeting. All agreed, this is no ordinary reunion. This is a sign that BTS still has a bond that is too strong for time to decipher. Many fans wrote that the moment made them remember the early days of BTS 7 young people who fought from scratch, slept in cramped rooms, ate together, laughed together, and dreamed of penetrating the world. Now, despite their solo careers going their separate ways, that love and brotherhood are still alive, real, and touching millions of hearts. Meanwhile, HYB is rumored to be preparing big plans for a full BTS reunion after all the members have completed their enlistment. Some sources say that 2026 will be a special year, with projects involving all members. And the moment of Jungkook and Taehyung's embrace at the airport is considered the emotional beginning of a new chapter of BTS's journey towards that togetherness. ARMY around the world wrote messages full of love. "We are waiting for you, but don't be in a hurry. We just want you to be happy," wrote one comment. Others said, "Seeing Jungkook cry is not because he is sad, but because his love is too great. It's worth more than anything." A comment from an international forum even wrote a touching sentence: "Jungkook's tears are ARMY tears. The hug is the hug of all of us who have been waiting for their return." This sentence went viral, reflecting the collective emotions of millions of people who felt growing up with BTS for over a decade. Now, after that moment has passed, many believe that the meeting is not only a symbol of the reunion of two friends, but also a symbol of hope that BTS's farewell time with fans is almost over. Jungkook, with his eyes swollen with tears, and Taehyung with his calm smile, become the perfect picture of how true love between brothers will never fade, even after passing through distance and time. That day at Incheon Airport, it wasn't just two K-pop stars who met, but two returning souls find a part of themselves that was once lost. The world may see it as viral news, but for those who followed BTS's journey from the beginning, the hug was the end of a long wait, and the beginning of a new, more beautiful chapter. And perhaps behind Jungkook's never-ending tears lies a simple prayer: that BTS can return soon, not just as a group on stage, but as a family that always comes home together. And perhaps behind the camera's glare, behind the millions of clicks and replays of those hug videos, there is something much more meaningful, a reminder that time can never separate those who truly love each other. Taehyung and Jungkook are not just two big names in the entertainment world. They are symbols of sincerity, struggle, and warmth that cannot be faked. The tears that fell that day were not just a momentary emotion, but a manifestation of love that grew from a long journey, from laughter to fatigue to sacrifices rarely seen by the public. As the video of the hug continues to be replayed on the small screens of fans around the world, one thing is clear: this is not just a moment between two idols. It is a reminder to all of us that while life often brings separation and distance, there is always a time to come back, because the sincere will always find their way home. And for ARMY, the hug wasn't just the end of the wait. It was also the beginning of a new hope that BTS would be back, stronger, warmer, and shinier than ever.